The arena was too quiet. Not the anticipatory hush of spectacle. Not the reverent silence before execution. This was confusion. Prince Kayla of the Varelian Empire stood in the center of the dueling ring, towering, radiant in ceremonial battle armor, all four of his bladed arms extended in dominance. His outer plating shimmered beneath the arena lights. One of his secondary arms dripped with human blood. Across from him, on one knee, Captain Marcus Hale did not move. His helmet was split along the visor. A fracture ran across his chest plate where Kayla's strike had landed. Blood traced a line from his brow to his jaw before dripping onto the polished obsidian floor. The crowd began to roar. The Empire loved ritual victories, loved proving superiority, loved reminding the younger species where they stood. And this was supposed to be one of those reminders. Up in the Imperial viewing chamber, Princess Erisel did not cheer. She leaned forward instead, watching, because the human shoulders weren't slumped in defeat. They were relaxed. Kayla raised his primary execution blade and addressed the arena. "Let this duel be remembered," he declared, voice amplified through the Colosseum, as the day humanity learned its place. The crowd thundered approval. Marcus lifted his head. Slowly, deliberately. Blood ran into his eye. He didn't blink it away. And then, he smiled. It wasn't defiance. It wasn't madness. It was recognition. Erisel felt her breath hitch. "Stop the match," she said quietly. The High Chancellor beside her frowned. "The Prince has already won." "No," she whispered. "He hasn't." Down below, Kayla stepped forward to deliver the final strike. Marcus rose. Not explosively. Not desperately. He simply stood up. The movement was smooth, economical, controlled. The cheering faltered slightly. Kayla lunged, all four arms slashing in a blinding cross pattern meant to overwhelm. Marcus did not block. He stepped inside the arc. A pivot, a shift of weight. One precise elbow drove into Kayla's lower secondary joint. A sharp crack echoed through the arena. The prince staggered half a step, not wounded, not seriously, but disrupted. The crowd quieted. Marcus did not follow up. He circled, eyes locked on Kayla's core stance, measuring foot placement, breathing rhythm, recovery speed. Kayla attacked again, harder now, pride wounded. Marcus retreated. 2 steps. 3. Never rushing. Never striking. Just watching. "Call it," Erisel demanded sharply. The Chancellor stiffened. "He's retreating. The Prince is pressing advantage." Arizel's fingers tightened on the railing. "No," she said, voice suddenly cold. "He's calibrating." Below, Kayla roared and drove forward with escalating aggression. Each strike heavier than the last. Each movement wider, less disciplined. Marcus's smile faded. His eyes sharpened. His breathing slowed. The crowd sensed something was wrong now. The human wasn't fighting to survive. He was learning. Arizel's pulse pounded in her ears as she saw it fully for the first time. The shift. The stillness behind the eyes. The absence of panic. She had studied humans for years, watched their military briefings, analyzed their tactical psychology. There was a moment in every human conflict recording, a moment when the fear vanished, when calculation replaced emotion, when prey became something else. Marcus adjusted his stance. Not defensive anymore. Balanced. centered, waiting. Arizel's voice came out barely above a breath. He's not losing. Kayla charged again. The arena suddenly felt smaller, tighter, predatory. Arizel gripped the railing and whispered the words no one else yet understood. He's not fighting anymore. A heartbeat passed. He's hunting. Prince Kayla charged with a roar that shook the arena walls. 4 blades cut through the air in a synchronized storm, each strike calculated to overwhelm. It was a pattern Varelian warriors trained from childhood, relentless forward pressure, dominance through force. The crowd found its voice again. Yes, this was more like it. Marcus moved. Not fast, not dramatic, just enough. A half step to the left, a lean backward by centimeters, a rotation of the shoulder that let a blade skim across his cracked armor instead of opening his throat. Metal screamed against metal. Sparks scattered. Kayla pressed harder. Another flurry. Another barrage. Marcus gave ground. 2 steps. 3. The prince advanced with visible confidence now. His earlier stumble dismissed as chance. His strikes grew wider, louder, meant for spectacle as much as destruction. High above, Princess Arizel felt dread settle deeper into her chest. "Look at his breathing," she murmured. The Chancellor squinted toward the arena floor. "The prince's endurance is unmatched." "Not his," she said sharply. "The humans." Marcus's chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. Inhale through the nose. Controlled exhale. No spike in panic. No rush of desperation. Kayla's secondary lung vents, however, were flaring brighter with each exchange. The human wasn't escaping. He was pacing. Down below, Kayla shifted tactics. Instead of wide arcs, he launched a direct thrust aimed at Marcus's sternum, a killing blow. Marcus slipped inside it. His hand snapped up, not striking flesh, but tapping the prince's inner wrist joint. A test. Kayla snarled and ripped his arm free, swinging a backhand slash with his 3rd blade. Marcus ducked. Too smooth. Too precise. The crowd began to quiet again. Something felt wrong. Marcus hadn't thrown a single full strike since the beginning. He wasn't trying to win exchanges. He was collecting them. Kayla lunged once more, driving Marcus toward the arena wall. The human allowed it. Allowed the narrowing space. Allowed the illusion of entrapment. The prince saw opportunity and committed fully, all 4 arms striking in a converging execution pattern designed to leave no escape path. Princess Arizel's heart slammed. "Now," she whispered. "He's overcommitting." Marcus moved before the final blade descended. Not backward. Forward. He stepped into Kayla's centerline, where the prince's own limbs obstructed each other. One hand trapped a primary wrist. His shoulder slammed into Kayla's core. A pivot. A redirection of mass. The prince's momentum betrayed him. Kayla crashed past Marcus, one blade carving deep into the arena wall instead of human flesh. Before he could stabilize, Marcus struck. One sharp blow to the damaged secondary joint from earlier. A precise kick behind the prince's lower knee hinge. Balance shattered. Kayla dropped to one side, stunned, not defeated but exposed. Marcus stepped back immediately. No roar, no taunt, just observation. The arena fell into uneasy silence. Kayla forced himself upright, fury blazing in his multi-lensed eyes. Marcus adjusted his stance again. Different now. Weight slightly forward. Hands relaxed but ready. The calibration was complete. Up above, Ericel closed her eyes briefly. "It's done," she whispered. The Chancellor swallowed. "The Prince is still standing." "Yes," she said softly. "But now the human knows exactly how to break him." Prince Kayla rose slowly. Not because he was weak. Because he was thinking. The arena remained silent, thousands of alien spectators leaning forward in tense disbelief. They had come to witness a ritual humiliation, a lesson delivered, a human reminded of his place. Instead, they were watching something far more unsettling. Kayla's breathing vents flared bright violet, the Varelian sign of rising aggression. One of his lower joints twitched where Marcus had struck it earlier. Across from him, the human stood completely still. No pacing, no circling, just waiting. Princess Ericel felt it like a pressure change before a storm. "He's finished studying," she murmured. Below, Kayla let out a guttural war cry and launched forward again, not disciplined this time, not measured. Anger had replaced strategy. His first blade came down in a vertical cleave. Marcus sidestepped. The second blade thrust toward his ribs. Marcus deflected with a short forearm redirect. Minimal force, maximum efficiency. The third arm swung wide. Marcus ducked under it. Still no wasted movement. Still no emotion. Kayla roared and committed fully, all four limbs striking in rapid succession, abandoning defensive posture entirely. That was the moment. Marcus stepped inside the chaos. One hand seized the prince's injured joint. Not gently. He twisted. There was a sharp, echoing crack. Kayla's third arm went limp. Before the crowd could react, Marcus shifted weight and drove a brutal but controlled strike into the prince's lower thoracic plating, not to kill, but to disrupt equilibrium. Kayla staggered. Marcus followed. One elbow to the base of the neck cluster. One precise kick to the back hinge. The prince hit the arena floor hard enough to shake the Colosseum. The silence was absolute. Marcus did not mount him. Did not strike again. He stepped back 2 paces, breathing steady, watching. Kayla attempted to rise, and failed. His damaged arm could not support him. His balance systems were compromised. The realization spread through the arena in slow, dawning horror. The human had not overpowered the prince. He had dismantled him, systematically. Joint by joint, pattern by pattern. Princess Ericel descended from the viewing chamber without waiting for permission. Imperial guards hesitated but did not block her path. When she reached the arena floor, Marcus was already lowering his hands. Security drones hovered uncertainly overhead. Kayla lay conscious but immobilized, glaring upward in disbelief. Ericel stopped a few steps from the human. "You could have ended him," she said quietly. Marcus met her eyes. "He's ended," he replied calmly. She looked at the fallen prince. "You chose not to kill." "Yes." "Why?" Marcus glanced briefly at Kayla. "Because killing him teaches nothing." Around them, nobles whispered in shaken tones. For the first time, the Empire understood something critical. This wasn't berserker fury. This wasn't reckless aggression. This was control. Absolute control. Ericel studied the human's face. No triumph. No cruelty. Just stillness. "You weren't trying to survive," she realized aloud. Marcus shook his head slightly. "I was ensuring the threat wouldn't continue." Above them, the Chancellor finally found his voice. "The duel is concluded," he announced weakly. But the spectacle was over. The lesson, however, had just begun, because every being in that arena had witnessed the same terrifying truth. When a human stops reacting and starts calculating, the outcome is already decided. The Imperial Council chamber had never felt this small. Towering crystalline pillars lined the circular hall, refracting starlight from the orbiting city beyond. Representatives from 12 dominant species filled the elevated seats, their expressions ranging from outrage to unease. At the center of the chamber stood Captain Marcus Hale, unarmed, unarmored, calm. Princess Erisel stood beside him, not above him. That alone unsettled the room. High Chancellor Vorex broke the silence first. "You humiliated the Crown Prince," he said, voice tight, "in ritual combat designed to demonstrate hierarchy." Marcus didn't flinch. He challenged. The human replied evenly. I responded. A murmur rippled outward. "You escalated," another counselor snapped. Marcus shook his head once. "No." He did. Erisel stepped forward before the debate could devolve. "You misunderstand what you witnessed," she said, her voice steady but firm. "This was not escalation. It was containment." Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. Vorex narrowed his eyes. "Containment." Marcus spoke again, measured and clear. "Prince Kaler sought dominance through overwhelming force. That works when your opponent panics." A Virelian military advisor hissed softly. "And you did not panic." "No." "Why?" the advisor demanded. Marcus folded his hands behind his back. "Because humans evolved hunted." The chamber quieted. "For most of our early history," he continued, "we were not apex predators. We survived by pattern recognition, by endurance, by waiting for the right moment." Erisel watched the room absorb that. "We learned something critical," Marcus said. "The loudest threat isn't the most dangerous one. The one that goes quiet is." Several counselors glanced at each other uneasily. Vorex leaned forward. "You are implying the Empire miscalculated." Marcus met his gaze without hostility. "Yes. A dangerous word." "You assumed pain would cause submission," Marcus continued. "But pain, for humans, triggers assessment." Erisel saw it click for some of them. Assessment, not fear. "When the prince intensified his attacks," Marcus said calmly, "he believed he was applying pressure. In reality, he was giving me information." "You let him strike you," a counselor whispered. "Yes." "To what end?" "To learn his timing, his reach, his recovery delay." The room fell silent again. "You allowed injury," Vorex said slowly. Marcus nodded once. "Controlled risk." "And when you determined weakness?" Vorex pressed. "I ended his ability to escalate. No boasting, no pride, just fact." Erisel stepped forward once more. "You expected spectacle," she said. "What you witnessed was doctrine." "Doctrine?" someone echoed. Marcus answered. "We do not strike first when we can avoid it." A pause. "But when we do strike," he finished quietly, "we strike to finish the pattern." The weight of that statement settled heavily over the chamber. No conquest, no roar, just inevitability. Vorex exhaled slowly. "You could have killed him." "Yes." "And you chose not to." "Yes." "Why?" Marcus glanced briefly at Erisel before answering. "Because restraint is power. The chamber remained silent long after the words faded. For the first time in centuries, the Empire understood something unsettling. Humans were not dangerous because they were aggressive. They were dangerous because they were patient. And patience, when paired with precision, was far more terrifying than rage. The Imperial Recovery Wing was silent except for the low hum of medical stabilizers. Prince Kaler lay suspended within a regenerative field, his damaged joints encased in shimmering biomesh. He would recover. Virelian physiology was resilient. But something else had fractured that day. Pride. Across the capital, networks replayed the duel on endless loop. Analysts dissected every movement. Military strategists slowed the footage frame by frame. The conclusion was always the same. The human had decided when the fight would end. Princess Erisel stood before the full council once more, this time without ceremony. "We will not sanction humanity," she stated firmly. Outrage erupted immediately. He incapacitated the heir. He embarrassed the Empire. He demonstrated tactical superiority in our own arena. Erisel raised her hand. Silence followed. "You asked for a duel," she said. "You received a lesson." High Chancellor Vorex watched her carefully. "And what lesson do you believe was taught, Princess?" "That dominance without discipline collapses under pressure." Murmurs spread. Marcus stood near the chamber entrance, at ease but observant. Not defensive. Not tense. Just present. "You all saw the same footage I did," Erisel continued. "The human did not pursue lethal force. He neutralized escalation." A senior warlord leaned forward. "You defend him too easily." She met his gaze without hesitation. "I defend stability." Vorex spoke slowly. "What is it you propose?" Erisel turned slightly toward Marcus. "Transparency," she said. "Joint combat doctrine exchange. Military observation programs. Open communication channels." The chamber stirred uneasily. "You would share Imperial tactics with them?" someone demanded. Marcus answered before she could. "No." All eyes shifted to him. "We would share ours," he clarified. The councillors exchanged glances. "Why?" Vorex asked. Marcus's expression remained unreadable. "Because misunderstanding breeds fear. Fear breeds escalation." A pause. "And escalation," he finished, "creates hunters." The word lingered in the air. Erisel stepped closer to the center of the chamber. "You witnessed something rare," she said. "A human who had every opportunity to destroy, and chose control." She scanned the room. "If you mistake restraint for weakness again, the outcome may not be as measured." A younger council delegate, voice uncertain, spoke from the upper tier. "Are all humans capable of that?" Marcus considered the question honestly. "No." A small wave of relieved murmurs began. He continued. "But enough of us are." Silence returned, heavier than before. Vorex leaned back slowly. "You are warning us." Erisel shook her head. "No." She looked around the circular chamber, meeting every set of alien eyes. "I am preventing you from making the same mistake twice." Outside the vast windows, the Imperial fleet hung in orbit, powerful, disciplined, confident. But for the first time in generations, that confidence was tempered by something new. Respect. Marcus turned to leave as the session adjourned. No triumph. No celebration. Just quiet footsteps echoing across polished stone. Erisel watched him go, then spoke one final sentence that would be recorded in imperial archives for centuries. "If a human is shouting, you still have time." She paused. "But when they go quiet?" Her gaze hardened. "The hunt has already begun."